The Australian government has announced that a ballot is now open for the Gallipoli centenary events in Turkey next year, with 8,000 spots available for Australians. But while many young and old are too familiar with the great battles of the early 1900s, a prominent military historian believes the public remains largely unaware of the Army's modern-day achievements. The Army has conducted more than 150 operations since Vietnam. But in his latest book, ANU's John Blaxland points to the lack of access given to journalists in those zones, leading to an ignorance back home. John Blaxland joins us from Canberra. Good to talk to you. Now, the dawn service at Gallipoli, as we've just explained, it's going to be enormously popular in the ballot. It's grown in popularity over the years. Have we lost a sense of proportion in placing too much emphasis on that World War I battle?
Well, that's a very good question. Gallipoli features so prominently in our national consciousness, partly because we don't have a story to replace it. We don't have a revolution. We don't have a dramatic, cataclysmic event that kind of triggered the creation of the country. We had a peaceful federation for a democratic country. But what we have with Gallipoli is a story that tells us something about more than just the standard peaceful story that doesn't seem to sell very much. Gallipoli is about drama and pathos. But if you look at the Australian history, you look at Gallipoli, people know about Gallipoli, they know about Kokoda, they know about Vietnam. But there's actually an untold story of 35 years or more, the post-Vietnam Army. And this book, The Australian Army from Whitlam to Howard, essentially tells that story. And it's quite a gripping account of what the Australian Army has done in a range of places, in Africa, in Namibia, Somalia, Cambodia, Rwanda, and also across Southeast Asia. Our involvement in Indonesia, our involvement in Cambodia, our involvement in East Timor and in Solomon Islands in the Pacific and Papua New Guinea. There's so many interesting stories. And for Australia's iconic institution, which is the Australian Army, this is a largely understood, unknown story. And I'm very happy and very proud of this account, which touches on all of those operations, the 150 operations. But it also points to the need for us to look more deeply at our more recent history, while understanding and keeping very much in mind our more long distant past, but understanding what we've been doing lately, what its significance is for us today, and what it means for the future as well.
OK, so you say the public remains largely ignorant of the Army's more recent achievements. Should the Army blame itself for that particular reluctance to provide media access in combat zones, for instance?
Well, look, I think Michael Brissenden put it best in an article he wrote very recently, and that is that it's really a combination of factors. It's senior military commanders worried about operational security. It's ministers worried about the politics of it and their positioning, and therefore wanting to control the media image. And it's also journalists and historians who haven't been pushing hard enough to get the access that they need. But it really is, and this is the point of this story, there's so much there. It's quite gripping, it's multifaceted, it needs to be understood more clearly.